Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Winter, and welcome to another episode of Winter Starcast. This time we have a match between two of the best players in all of North America, a Protoss versus Zerg here on Ruins of Endian. It is going to be in the bottom left-hand corner, rank 1 of the Grandmaster ladder in North America at the time of this recording. It's Puck. His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, known for his incredibly high APM. Usually bordering on 400 actions per minute, and in very strong Zerg style, it is Vibe. And we're going to be going in to what looks to be a relatively standard Protoss versus Zerg. We're going to talk about the builds, we're going to talk about the matchup a little bit, especially on Ruins of Endian. We see Vibe going for a pretty consistent strategy, getting Zerglings out early on, foregoing a Gas Geyser, and using these to take down the rocks. Now, what he's seen on the other side is very important. He has vision of Puck's base, or at least he has vision of the important things here, which are the gas geysers, and when those gas geysers were taken. He knows that Puck is not being incredibly greedy, but it's very likely he's not going for some sort of proxy or anything like that. So Vibe has already taken down the rocks. He's opted for 3 hatcheries before getting gas, and it's going to be difficult for Puck to find any way to do damage early on. He's going to have the 1-gate expand. This will probably transition. If we're going to see a standard macro build, we're going to see a Stargate in about 20-30 gas here. But if we're going to see a little bit more of an aggressive build, we're going to see a Twilight Council or Robotics, something to really put on pressure, especially once these rocks are down. You need things like Blink Stalkers or War Prisms to get a direct attack going. It looks like Puck going to be adding on a couple more gateways. We should see that tech choice very soon. Vibe, on the other hand, has not even taken his gas geysers. He's pumping out the drones right now. He's going to have a massive economy. And is there any way, did Puck actually opt for, okay, he did scout with the probe. He has an idea that Vibe wants to go for this greedy play. He might not know exactly, but he has a good idea. Without that gas geyser, Vibe does not have access to really any aggressive potential early on. And now we see the rocks down on either side. Puck no longer obviously able to scout. He's rocked out at the moment, but he's actually opting for a pylon at the rocks. I think this is just for scouting. I don't think he has any intention of being aggressive with this, but he wants to get vision of whether Vibe is letting himself out of his own base, for example. And maybe he can warp in an Adept or something, be a little bit cheeky, but Vibe has an Overlord there. There's really nothing he can get away with at the moment. But here we go, a little bit interesting. We see the robotics facility joining the production tab. Vibe finally investing in these gas geysers. He actually has none in his main. He's already up to 40 drones. It's not uncommon. Well, now we're going to see him overtake, but it's not uncommon to see the probe count rise faster than the drone count, because of course the drones have to be used to create these buildings. In building roach warrens and gas geysers, you actually have to replace those drones, and it's only once the 3rd hatchery has finally completed you really have access to the larva to get the economy you need to overwhelm a Protoss army. But Puck not opting for the Stargate. We have the robotics on the way. Puck is someone who's known for incredibly intense War Prism micro. He loves Disruptor drops, Stalker drops, anything he can do to get an advantage in kind of an unconventional manner, because the War Prism has its strengths and its weaknesses. The War Prism, of course, allows you to support gateway pushes. You can warp in. You have a lot of micro potential with ground units, but what you don't have is access to that Stargate and early defense against things like Overlord drops or Mutalisks. So, of course, Puck, an incredibly smart player, understands that, and he's got Blink on the way. So it's looking like a pretty strong gateway attack coming up behind this. No Forge is another thing to point out. He's just pumping out the gateway, so he's going to be putting on the pressure. Does Vibe have any vision of this? I think this is actually a bit of a mistake here. Vibe did not have any Overlords near these rocks. It's actually Puck. He's ignoring the rocks completely, and he's using the War Prism to get over the top before Vibe. He actually has no units here. He has 2 roaches and 6 Zerglings. According to my math here, I'm not great at it, but I want to say that's not enough to deal with this army warping. Some more roaches are on the way, but with this many force fields to lock that army out of this position, I don't think there's any real way that Vibe keeps this base. He just had no vision. He was blind. And Puck is going to get a snipe on the fourth. That's a pretty big deal. Now, the 4th base in this position, let's talk about what's happened so far as this attack commences, is actually looking very threatening here. We've got a lot more army supply coming up for Vibe. He's got Ravagers. He's going to have Roach speed and Zergling speed coming up. It's not quite done yet, and there's still a lot of force field energy. Before we even talk about that 4th base, we got to see if this attack is going to break through. At first, I thought, all right, he's going to use a recall. He's going to come back. He's going to tech up. But no, it looks like Puck is continuing to keep his foot on the gas. He's putting the pressure forward. He's getting a beat on exactly how many units he's dealing with, and it looks like he's still deemed it. Okay, yeah, with the sentry drop here, trying to maybe get a force field on the ramp, but with Ravagers here, it's not going to be too risky. And remember, these are Blink Stalkers. There's the immediate recall. All right, Vibe has finally put together enough forces to overwhelm this Protoss army, and Puck is going to be forced into a pretty much full retreat. So the 4th base. Vibe went for a ton of drones. He's looking, well, at 65 now. He had more before, but he was forced to build additional buildings. He lost a couple drones at the 4th, and now he doesn't have a great economy. It's good. It's not great. He doesn't have the production to really overwhelm a well-controlled Protoss army. But now we see that tech choice, the Spire against the Robotics Base. This is why the Stargate is such a common opener. Oh, this is a pretty big mistake. If Puck actually loses these force fields, great force fields so far, retreats with the sentries, the blink back, this 4th base is absolutely not going to happen. Return to sender is that probe. But still with this attack, Puck reacted quickly enough. He kept pretty much all of his sentries alive. I think he lost 1 or 2. Though with this many force fields, this force can be split up into bite-sized Zerg pieces if Vibe is not careful. He's transitioning into the Spire. He's banking up a ton of gas, but if he loses most of this army, he could get overwhelmed by these Blink Stalkers and soon-to-be Disruptors as well. Now, I don't know if Puck has any vision. I don't think he has anything scouting that Spire. We see the sentries in the front, not where they want to be, but going to get back just in time to lock out a corner of that ramp. Is there any vision? No, Puck has no vision at the Spire. He might expect it by this point. It's pretty uncommon to not see Hydralisks, but if you're in a scenario where you're not dealing with Phoenixes, Hydralisks are not the requirement they are so much against that Stargate opener. So, once again, he's able to go for the Roach Ravager, the lower tech option, to allow him to transition to Mutalisks. And 17 Mutalisks are going to do a lot. Oh, just like this Disruptor hit, only getting a couple of the Ravagers. Actually, great split there by Vibe at the last second. He now knows Disruptors are on the way, and I think Puck may have made the wrong call. He's got double Robo Disruptor production. Disruptors not known for their ability to take out air units very cost-effectively, and by that I mean they do not shoot up. So this is going to leave Puck in a tough position. He might think he's able to break through here. A single Disruptor shot going to do a great job of zoning all these units away. And a lot more force fields where that came from originally. The 4th base is under really heavy fire. It looks like he will break through. The Ravager shot's actually taking down the force fields a little bit earlier than Puck expected here. There's an Immortal in the front, will immediately be slaughtered. There's still 2 Disruptors in the back, but these force fields are nearly perfect, despite Vibe doing a good job with those Ravager shots. But that is a lot of Mutas. And there is not a lot besides these Blink Stalkers. The Zerglings in front with the Roaches underneath, supporting the damage of these Mutalisks above. There's a couple Disruptors at the back. There's a lot of Photon Overcharge, but very soon... Oh yeah, there's the blink in. We're going to see Vibe using these Mutalisks to their fullest potential. He's going to pull them back, and he's going to pull them forth. And right now, Vibe is the one in the driver's seat, as there is no real way for Puck to deal with these Mutas. He doesn't have anything that directly counters them. Blink Stalkers are good. They're not great. As these Mutas gain in number, there's no Archons. No split there, but he snipes off the Disruptors with the Mutas. Beautiful targeting, and we see the Blink Stalkers getting driven back. There goes the Mothership Core as well. Puck having a lot of trouble dealing with this Mutalisk force, and it looks like Vibe, despite losing his 4th bases, despite being pushed back to his natural, is going to find himself in a commanding position. We saw it on the other side, though. During this, DTs have actually... They haven't taken out that many drones. He did retreat quickly, and remember, this is actually huge here. Losing the 3rd base, Puck is still on 3 bases. He needs to get Archons. He needs to get some way to deal with these Mutalisks. There's still too many. There's still just too many. And the last hit, he swipes down the hatchery with his last dying breath, and we actually see Vibe now. He's had 50 drones, and he's had only 2 bases, but his army is the real story. We see 128 versus 68 army supply, and I don't think there's any more tech coming out of Puck here. Yeah, no Templar Archives, no Stargates. He's getting 2 observers because there's not too much else he can do with those robos at the moment. And And oh no, there goes the Cyber Core. Right now, Puck's tech is just being gutted. And he can't even build any. He literally has no ability to build anti-air. We see Vibe minimizing the damage of these Stalkers. With these, is he actually just going to have enough mutas? Oh, this might be the most anticlimactic way for this to end. Vibe actually trading out the Mutalisk for the Stalkers right now, and he's taking a pretty heavy trade. But he's going to be able to kill through, as the Cybernetics Core was not rebuilt. Well, it wasn't rebuilt before it died, at least. And no Stalkers means no reinforcements to this fight. Vibe taking the fight he knew he could win. And now there's just not enough units for Puck in general. It's 95 to 155 supply. We see another base under fire by DTs, but the forward third, well, formerly fourth, now third, has been retaken. And Vibe is mining once again, even though the DTs are finding their way to find some more damage on either side. Will this DT actually finish off this base? He has not found the War Prism at the top. That's done a great job so far. Alright, cleaning up some more DTs. We still see the Mutalisk count far too high for just Blink Stalkers to deal with. You need something that deals with them directly. Those Mutas reach such a critical strength, a critical mass, that eventually direct damage like Blink Stalkers and Sentries are just not going to cut it. Those Mutalisks can stack up and maximize their damage on a single point. And it looks like finally the War Prism has been scouted out. Will be shut down. That Thorn in the backside of Vibe finally removed. And he's absorbed the damage of the DTs. He's done the damage with the Mutas, and it looks like Puck is going in for what could be the final push. It is 23 Mutalisks against 22 Stalkers with nothing else on the ground. That's still a tall order for these Stalkers to come out on top. One big Disruptor hit coming in will take out a large chunk of these Zerglings. The Disruptors effectively force-fielding the ground units away, but the Muta count is just too high. I really don't. Without Archons, Puck never felt like he had the income to transition into those Archons, into that splash damage. He tried to rely on the Blink Stalkers and the Disruptors, but at some point, there are just too many Mutas. And I fear we have already reached and passed that point. It's 185 to 125 supply. Puck is actually managing to retake his base. Vibe finding a pretty good engagement angle. Once again, the Mutalisks showing their strength, able to stack up into a single force. Picking off another Disruptor. He'll trade a Muta for that. He has the money now. Another DT coming across. We finally have the static defense, the Spines and the Spores. The Mutas are doing a great job of continuing to pick away at these Stalkers, actually just taking a direct fight. The Disruptors, the units are already on top. The Disruptor shots are not going to be enough. It looks like a Photon over... Oh, the Mothership Core, of course, has been remade. There aren't that many units on the ground here. Puck is actually putting together a relatively solid defense. There's still just a few too many Roaches and a few too many Mutas, though, and they finished up their +2 attack upgrades. It looks like just not quite enough. One Disruptor hit, a few more Stalkers. Maybe that would have made the... Oh, my God. He couldn't ask for anything better than that, but the numbers just do not add up anymore for Puck. We see finally the first Archons of the game, but I do gotta say it seems like a little bit too little and far too late. As Vibe has remade up to 61 drones, he's gonna be on 5 bases while Puck is drying up on his effectively only mining mineral patches. You can see the income disparity as well. And he's been leaning on this leverage that the Mutas have given him almost the entire game for the last 7-8 minutes. And at no point has Puck really been able to bounce back from it. He's coming towards the other side. The question is, will the Mutas come back to defend? He snipes off the Cybernetics Core. Not like Puck has the money to really warp anything else in. But we've got the Archons with the death push. If the Archons go down, the Mutas will crush everything else. We see Puck actually opting to warp in Sentries here. Just trying to spend what money he can, and he's very short on minerals at the moment. The Mutas will take out pretty much all of the money left of Puck. This army just does not seem like enough to withstand this Zerg. Another massive Disruptor shot throwing Zerglings off the side of the map, but I think the numbers are just too far in favor of Vibe. Some good backstabs, some good timings, but the choice to go for those Mutalisks so decisively, and the choice of Puck to opt for that Robotech instead of going for Templar or having a Stargate early on did not pay off. Of course, it's a very strong timing, incredibly difficult to deal with, but Vibe read it like a book. He got the Mutalisks out, and despite some great control, some great Disruptor shots out of Puck, Vibe's going to take it home with that economic advantage. GG. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, all of that. Leave feedback in the comments. Good luck, have fun, and happy StarCrafting.